What's your best don't bite the hand that feeds you story? I used to work at a little family-owned bakery called Golden Crust. It wasn't fancy, but it had heart. Every morning, the smell of fresh bread would drift out onto the street, and regulars would line up before sunrise just to grab their usual. I love that place. The warmth, the rhythm, the community. My boss, Richard, was the kind of man who'd built everything from scratch. He was fair, kind, and trusted his employees. He used to say, "We're a family here," and for a long time, that's exactly how it felt. Then came Tracy, his niece, fresh out of business school, armed with a shiny degree and zero real-world experience. She walked in one morning in a designer suit, clipboard in hand, and started taking notes on everything we did. Within a week, she'd started modernizing the bakery. She changed suppliers to save money, reduced ingredient quality, and started watching us like hawks. I tried to stay patient. I'd been there the longest and knew how everything worked, but she treated me like some outdated piece of furniture. Then one Friday afternoon, Richard called everyone into the office. He looked uncomfortable, rubbing the back of his neck while Tracy stood beside him with a smug little smile. He said, "Sales have been slow, and we need to make some adjustments to stay afloat." Tracy jumped in. "We'll have to let go of a few people whose roles can be consolidated." And just like that, and she looked straight at me. I was stunned. I'd never missed a shift, never been late, and was the one training new hires. But none of that mattered. Richard couldn't even look me in the eye when he said, "I'm really sorry, Sarah, it's just business." I walked out with my apron folded under my arm, trying not to cry in front of the customers who smiled at me on the way out, not knowing it was my last day. The next few weeks were rough. I had rent to pay, no savings, and a bruised sense of self-worth. But life has a strange sense of timing. I got hired at a wholesale bakery supplier. Ironically, my new job was to manage accounts for local bakeries, including Golden Crust. The first time I saw the order come through under Richard's name, I froze for a second, then smiled. I picked up the phone to confirm the order. When Richard heard my voice, there was this long, awkward silence. "Sarah from the bakery?" "That's me," I said, pretending it was no big deal. He stumbled through the call, and I could almost hear Tracy in the background barking orders. Over the next few months, I noticed they were ordering cheaper and cheaper ingredients. Low-grade flour, synthetic flavorings, pre-made fillings. Tracy's efficiency was cutting corners everywhere. Customers noticed too. Their bread lost its texture, the muffins turned stale in a day, and loyal regulars began drifting away. One afternoon, one of our delivery guys told me that Golden Crust had started canceling bulk orders. "Business must be bad," he said. "Heard the niece is running the place now. Real mess." A few weeks later, I got a call. It was Richard. His voice sounded tired, not like the cheerful boss I once knew. "Sarah," he said softly, "I made a huge mistake letting you go. The bakery's falling apart. I could really use your help." For a moment, I almost said yes. That place had been like home to me. But then I remembered how quickly he'd let me go when things got tough. I took a breath and said, "I'm really sorry, Richard. I'm happy where I am now, but I hope things turn around for you." He didn't argue, just sighed. "I understand. Take care, Sarah." A month later, I drove past the bakery. The windows were empty, the open sign gone, and a for lease poster was taped to the door. I stood there for a long moment, remembering the smell of fresh pastries and the laughter that used to fill that little shop. Years later, I ran into Richard at a farmer's market. His hair had gone gray, and his eyes looked softer, humbler. He smiled when he saw me. "You were the best employee I ever had," he said quietly. "I should have never listened to her." I smiled back. "Sometimes you don't realize who's feeding you until the table's empty." He chuckled sadly, and we said goodbye. As I walked away, I realized karma doesn't always come with fireworks or revenge plots. Sometimes it just lets people taste the consequences of their own choices, one stale loaf at a time.